Hi, I'm Michael Robinson, aka the food curator of Food on the Blog, and you can get this recipe I'm going to do today at www.foodontheblog.co.uk. Now, I'm a home self-taught cook, and the reason was my mum was a big British cook, so she did all the classic dishes, and when I got a flavour for things that were a bit more exotic, she told me if I wanted them, I had to cook them myself. So I went out and did exactly that. And one of the first things that I fell in love with that was markedly different from anything I'd eaten before was, of course, Indian. A great British love affair with Indian food. So this is my first video recipe, and I'm so pleased in sharing it with you, and so pleased that it's a classic Indian dish, and I know you are going to love it. So Aloo Gobi, or potato and cauliflower curry. I know a lot of you out there love it, I know a lot of you out there get it in restaurants, but this is my take on it, and I've got a few techniques in there which are going to make this dish really, really shine, and I know you're going to be making this forever. So let's get started. Prep is important as we'll be getting things into the pan fast, so check the recipe list. It's coming on screen now, but you can also get it at foodontheblog.co.uk. So get everything chopped and sliced and ready before cooking. Now, moving to the cauliflower, this is one of my first technique tips. We're going to roast it. We're going to intensify that cauliflower flavour and make this ultra delicious. So first off, and this is my wonderful spice tin coming out here, we take a teaspoon of cumin seeds, whole cumin seeds, give them a sprinkle around, and we're going to take oil. We want about 2 tablespoons of oil in there as well. Now this is where we're going to get our hands dirty. We're going to give this a good old rub around in those seeds and that oil. We want to get those flavours working together when this goes into the oven. So once you have that done, we're going to take this and put it into the oven at about 220, and we'll see this in a minute. Okay, so I talked about prep and it's how important it is. So I've got my potatoes chopped up. They're basically as thick as the thickest stalk of the cauliflower floret, so that will all cook together nicely. I've got some tomatoes. I've got the 5 tomatoes, medium. I've de-seeded them. So I want to keep the sweetness but not the bitterness of those seeds. I'm going to blitz those up. That's another little tip for you. I've got my sliced onion. This is Bombay onion, by the way. You can get that from most Asian supermarkets, Indian stores. Now for the liquid later on, I've actually got some stock, steaming Indian vegetables for another dish. I kept the stock. If you don't have the stock, you can use water. Do not use packet stock though, it's too salty, too many flavours in there. I have lemon juice ready to go. I've got garlic, 2 cloves, I've got the equivalent of 1 clove size of ginger, and I've got half a chopped green chilli. Now, I'm going to show you the spice tin again, because this is really, really important. If you cook a lot of Indian food, I highly recommend you get one of these. It keeps it all there for you. You can just open it up and take out everything you need. So yeah, get one of those if you can. So we've got all our prep done. We're just about to start cooking, and the last thing we want to do is just blitz up these tomatoes. So away we go. We want to basically make a puree out of them. That should do it. A few chunks and bumps in there is great. So we're ready to get cooking. Okay, so first off what we're going to do is start frying the onion. So straight into some oil. I've got 5 tablespoons of oil in here. 5 to 6 tablespoons is what you want. It may sound like a lot, but you know, curries need that richness inside them. And I mentioned earlier on that the onion I'm using is the Bombay onion. You need an onion with a bit of strength to it, so a good red onion, you know, not sweet but strength. We will get the sweetness out of frying it, but you really want that onion flavour. So we're going to be back in a second after this is cooked for a couple of minutes. We've had our onions going for about 3 minutes now. There's the little flavour of smell of fried onion coming up, but they're not over caramelised, so these are good to go. Now, we've got our garlic, chilli and fresh ginger. Get that straight in. A very quick stir around, then push it all to one side. Okay? Then we're going to add some hard spices. We're going to add in our mustard seed, and we're going to add in our cumin seed. So you're going to see these fizzing in there, and they're going to start to pop. So we can see them getting going in the oil, and there they go. They started popping. Give that a quick round and straight in with our tomato. I wish you could smell this, because the flavours coming off the ginger and garlic are just fantastic. Now we're just going to fry off the tomato for a minute or so. I think it adds a bit of richness to the sauce and also gives a chance for all the flavours to bind in. Also, you want to do that quick because you do not want your seeds to burn. That's a really important thing. They'll go hard and crunchy, won't be that nice. So here we go in the pan. As you can see, the edges are starting to get a bit of colour, going a bit yellow as opposed to red for the tomatoes. So after a few seconds of cooking like that, we're going to add in our potatoes as well. So these are being fully rinsed and drained and chopped. In they go. And we're just going to stir these round, get all those flavours round them, and give the pan a chance to just heat up for a minute or so. Now, once we've got that done, I have 2 teaspoons of salt here, so I'm just going to sprinkle that over. Now this is salt for the whole dish, so this is going to work on our cauliflower as well. That was not seasoned at all. Now, potatoes nicely in there. We're going to add our stock. Now really you just want to make a little bit of liquid in here. We're not going to cover the potatoes completely. So out of here I have used about 100 ml. So we're just going to let that cook for just a few minutes, get a lid on it, and we'll see you in a moment. So we're back after a couple of minutes. The potatoes have been just in that tomato gravy, just soaking up some flavour. Look at that. Smells amazing. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to finish off with some of the spices. So, I'm putting in a teaspoon of turmeric. And now I've got a really special curry powder. This is actually hand ground in India. Someone brought that back for me specially, thanks to them. And you can get really good ones in Indian stores, in Asian stores. Go for a high quality and go for a mild, go for a general purpose curry powder. I prefer this to garam masala, and I'm going to be generous with this, and I'm putting in 4 teaspoons. It's going to make a big difference. So we're going to give that a nice little stir in, and we're going to make sure that heat now is down low. Now you can see the turmeric changing the whole colour of the dish now. And our cooking juice is looking and smelling amazing. Now I'm going to get the cauliflower in. So, get that wonderful roasted cauliflower, get that into the pan, because this is the final stage of cooking now. And again, give this a really good stir in, make sure you've got everything nicely coated. This is going to come out with the most wonderful flavoured thick gravy, and all the flavour from roasting that cauliflower. I know it seems like it's a bit of a chore, but when that infuses in with the rest of the dish, it's going to be like roast cauliflower, roast potato, absolutely wonderful. So there we go, everything is coated. So we'll get the lid on that and we'll let that cook away for a few more minutes. Okay, so we've been on for about 12 minutes now, about the time that potatoes take to cook. I have got in halfway through and added just a touch more liquid. Let's give those a little check. Nice and tender, fork goes straight in there. So off with the gas, and then a little finishing touch, fresh lemon juice. Start with a couple of teaspoons, give it a stir in. Look at that. Then we're going to give that a little taste and see how we've gone on. It just adds a little bit of sharpness. So for it to counter that with a little bit of freshness, a good pinch of fresh coriander goes in, and just turn that round. That will just wilt in the heat and add a lovely, fresh, spicy flavour to it. So there we go. Done. So there we have it, a classic Aloo Gobi. I'd really love to know how you got on with this recipe, so please comment below. And you can come over and find this recipe and more at foodontheblog.co.uk, or you can connect with me, the food curator, on Twitter or Facebook. Now, you can eat this with rice, with Indian bread, naan, whatever you want, but I think I'm just going to go for a bowl of this because it washes down so well with a beer. So until next time, cook more and eat well.